bring in Ken Gray, a retired FBI special agent, now a senior lecturer in criminal justice, that department at the University of New Haven. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Certainly. Good morning.
Good morning. And we are hearing a lot of these social media sleuths that are coming in. So the question is, how do you separate fact from fiction at this point?
So, web sleuths have become especially involved in cases here in recent years. They sometimes produce useful leads. However, in this particular case, the police are hot on the trail of being able to tie the husband of Anna into her potential murder. It's hard to make a case without a body, but it's not impossible. And so the police are very methodically going along, identifying potential evidence, sending evidence off to the lab, and getting ready to indict Brian Walshe before a grand jury there. But first, they need to get the forensic evidence back from the lab and be able to show that it's forensic evidence associated with Anna before they do that.
And that's the question is, do they have enough evidence at this point? Because we do know that Brian Walshe, they are trying to, it does appear, hold him there with that misleading police charge. Is that what they're doing until they can gather enough evidence? Are they waiting for, as you mentioned, the grand jury to indict him?
Right. That's exactly what they're doing, is that they were able to arrest him on misleading police charges. He was already under house arrest over his art forgery sales. And so holding him is necessary to keep him from leaving the country while they put together their case. I think they are starting to get very close. Of course, if they were able to locate her body, that would make this a done deal. But the fact that they have yet to discover her body, this is going to be a little bit more difficult, but not impossible.
Would you be surprised, and it seems like a lot of people have asked this question, if Anna was actually alive and the husband was not involved? Is that even a possibility at this point?
Well, at this point, that has to be considered a possibility, but it depends upon the forensic evidence. That is, if it's shown that the blood in the basement is Anna's, if it shows that the blood on the knife is Anna's, if it turns out that the hatchet that was found at the at the transfer station had blood on it that was Anna's, then all of this information starts piling up, making it more likely than not that something very bad happened to Anna and that she probably is not alive. At this point, though, without a body, you cannot definitely say that. But as the forensic evidence mounts up, you start believing that to be the case.
So at this point, are you surprised at how much information was released earlier this week when Brian Walshe was in court? The prosecutors went right into it and explained basically everything that it appears they know at this point. They went into great detail. I feel like we don't get that very often in most cases. So was that surprising?
Yes, I agree with you that that there was a lot of information that was put out at that hearing. I think that was necessary to be able to hold him, and so I think they revealed as much information as they had simply to be able to place him in jail and keep him from leaving the area. Um, the same information will be presented before a grand jury once it's impaneled, and grand juries will likely be convinced. But again, they're waiting for the results of the forensic evidence to come back. So, DNA takes time, and as soon as they get that, I expect to see the next step will be impaneling a grand jury and indicting Brian Walshe.
What were your thoughts when his search history was revealed that he had possibly Googled how to dispose of the body or how to get rid of the body of a 115-pound woman? That seems oddly specific.
It does seem oddly specific, and it certainly looks very bad for Brian Walshe. Uh, you know, uh, People don't realize the fact that their search information is retained on their computer, and that can be discovered after the case. So You do not do anything anonymously these days. Telephones, cell phones show locations. Internet searches are discoverable. Uh, Cameras show you walking into a Home Depot buying cleaning products. All these things are put together to build a case against the person. And in this case, it's starting to look like more and more evidence is piling up against Brian Walsh.
And there's been a lot of talk about his ankle monitor because we've heard from several, I guess, law enforcement sources that it's possible the ankle monitor was not set up with GPS, so it was not able to track his every movement. Is that a possibility? Because I was always under the impression that if you had an ankle monitor, it automatically had a GPS attached to it.
Yeah, that was my thought too. However, there may be more than one type of ankle monitor. Some has to show that the person is within a certain distance of the station at a person's home, and only detects the fact that they have left the home area. Uh, it was my understanding that ankle monitors do have GPSs built into it. Whether that was working or not is a different matter.
For sure. So where do we go from here? Right now, it's pretty much a waiting game, as you said, as they work to get that DNA and process more of the evidence. It sounds like they did find some very damning evidence, I would say, when they were looking through that dumpster earlier on this week. So now, I guess it's pretty much a waiting game.
So again, it's waiting for the results from the lab. It's also obtaining the DNA from the sons to compare against the evidence that potential evidence that was found at the transfer station and at the dumpster. And it's in the interim also, in addition to the forensic evidence, waiting for the results of the DNA checks. There are a lot of additional searches that can be done. They're searching for additional evidence, trying to find a body, trying to find, in the absence of a body, more blood, more clothing, some of this cleaning products, the tarp, the things like that, that would build up more evidence showing that something bad happened to Anna.
All right. Ken Gray, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us here. Anything else that you do want to add before I let you go?
I think this case is very similar to one we had down here in Connecticut, that of Fotis Dulos and the disappearance of his estranged wife, Jennifer Dulos. Again, in that case, her body was never found, but they were ready to go to trial on Fotis Dulos for her murder. I think that you're going to have the same situation there in Massachusetts with a murder case without a body.
All right. Ken Gray, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. We appreciate it.
Anytime.